Yo, what's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join me on Patreon to get the complete version, the link is in the description. American Comics Fishing Across Universes start as Homelander. 1AC. Chapter 1 Penguins and I are at odds with each other. American Comics Fishing Across Universes starting as Homelander. 322nd. Chapter 1 Penguins and I are at odds with each other. Next. In a magnificent hotel, a high society party is being held here. Many influential figures in New York City's industries gathered here at the moment to chat and expand their connections in this social circle. This is an exchange of capital energy. The upper-class world of capitalism controls all walks of life in the entire country. God knows how many unknown transactions will be born at this banquet. The food here doesn't taste as good as it used to. A young man with handsome Huxia features but also some unique Western lines in his appearance seemed a little out of place in such an occasion. He was wearing expensive clothes and pants, and the watch on his wrist had a price that ordinary people could not earn in a lifetime of hard work. Obviously, this young man is not the kind of person who comes here to eat and drink, but is an upper-class figure who also has the qualifications to socialize here. It can be seen from the elites from all walks of life who are constantly chatting up. The young man has a good social status, and that's why he seems a little out of place compared to others. It's entirely because compared to those who actively socialize with various purposes, he is very perfunctory with those who want to chat. Even those beautiful ladies could not make this boy more patient. The attraction of ladies to him was not even as good as the exquisite food. Boss, you accepted the invitation to come here to attend the party. You can't just comment on the hotel chef's cooking skills. This is a great opportunity to expand your network. A beautiful woman with a curvy figure and a well-dressed dress followed beside the boy. Her pretty face was full of helpless expressions. No matter how good our relationship is, if we go bankrupt, none of these people will lend a helping hand. In that case, why should I waste my time? The young man shook his head slightly, taking down a cocktail from the passing waiter's tray. I just need to ensure that the newspaper office does not decline, then we will always be friends with them. Slightly meaningful words. The beautiful woman on the side was slightly startled. The young man's clear thinking surprised her. Really? As the owner of the largest newspaper in New York, anyone in the upper class is willing to be friends with him. They rely on the media to promote their reputation. Boss, you really don't look like a high school dropout. The beauty couldn't help but sigh. She felt that she was not dealing with a child of 17 or 18. Few children of this age had such a clear understanding of the world. Sure enough, there is something weird. Otherwise his real boss would not let him lurk around this boy. It would not be easy to help him deal with various newspaper office chores every day. This is true even for an excellent agent like her. Maria Hill took a deep look at the boss in front of her. I'm not like the average high school graduate. The young man seemed not to notice the strange look in the beauty's eyes. He took a sip of wine, but he didn't explain too much to his beautiful secretary. His thoughts were slightly distracted and he began to fall into memories. He was indeed different from ordinary high school graduates. Being human in 2 lifetimes, one naturally has a clearer understanding of the world. Especially in the last life. I also work in the media. I have seen a lot of the so-called filth in the upper class, so I naturally have a very clear understanding of the so-called upper class. I never thought I would one day enter this class that I despise the most. The young man sighed slightly in his heart. His name is Chu Mu, an ordinary time traveler. Just like what was said before. Before time travel, Chu Mu was a low-level media worker. Because of an accident while on duty for an interview, he was hit by a truck driver, a gold medal salesman under the god of time travel. Therefore, he simply got a time travel package and came to this world that he didn't really want to come to, becoming the grandson of a newspaper owner. The mother is of Huxia descent. My father is a standard New York upper-class man. It's so cliché. It's so cliché to use big trucks to travel these days. Even being sucked in when flushing the toilet would be more innovative. Chu Mu complained about his way of time travel more than once when he was a child. Maybe it's due to the time traveler effect. In this life, Chu Mu's mother died in childbirth and her father also died in an accident. Before he came of age, Chu Mu's only relative was his grandfather, a newspaper owner. However, his grandfather also died in an accident not long after he became an adult. This is why Chu Mu dropped out of high school. Otherwise, according to their family's strength, it's okay to go to any Ivy League school. What? Why are people in Chu Mu's family so prone to accidents? Hi, this has to mention the background of this world. Traveling through time to become the rich second generation should have been a very happy thing. But if this world is the dangerous Marvel universe, Chu Mu doesn't want such an opportunity at all. The best reason is that his family has had accidents one after another. Even if there is a high probability that the parents of the time traveler will sacrifice themselves to heaven, in fact many families in this world face similar dangers every day. Marvel Universe. Although after years of exploration, Chu Mu discovered that this is just the Marvel movie universe, not as dangerous as the Marvel multi-universe. But the security of this world is still not that reassuring. After all, the Marvel Universe, no matter which one it is full of extraordinary and dangerous places. The so-called danger is not just alien invasion or purple potato snapping fingers. These can only be considered global dangers. For ordinary people, the danger is hidden in the ordinary world we live in, the rampant gangs the cyborgs created through various experiments, and there are also many aliens wandering around this world. Anyone who has watched the American TV series SHIELD Agent knows that if an ordinary person picks up a random stone he may be exposed to strong radiation. Walk on the road, seeing a super ability criminal running out of a store can lead to death. Go out for a walk. It's not nonsense to encounter some kind of crazy maniac from Asgard who kills everyone with Asgard's weapons. Anyway, live in such a world, as a normal person, it's really hard. Definitely, strictly speaking, Chu Mu is not an ordinary person. It's not because he is a mutant. There are no mutants in this Marvel movie universe. The reason why Chu Mu is not an ordinary person is because as a standard time traveler he naturally carries the gold finger that many time travelers must have after time travel. Wanji Fishing System. It sounds like a very cool and amazing name. However, in Chu Mu's opinion, my gold finger is really a bit stretched. Do you want to know about the Penguin Gold Finger? More than once Chu Mu suspected that this gold finger was related to the Penguin mobile game that he played before time travel. They were both trying their best to force people to fill money. Host. Chu Mu. Free times today. 0. Faith. 9417. Own card pool. Detective Conan World, Harry Potter World. Such an introduction to the system panel. There is a strong penguin style behind it. As the system owner, Chu Mu can get one free fishing opportunity every day. After the free opportunities are used up, it takes 100 faith points to condense it into a bait. The so-called belief value. It's very complicated to explain. Probably the core is popularity and public attention. Run a newspaper. It is the main way Chu Mu currently obtains faith points. He inherited the newspaper company from his grandfather. World famous. New York Tap. It can take a month. It can only bring him 1000 faith points. Fortunately, faith value can be obtained repeatedly, so there is no need to worry about losing faith value if there are no new customers. Chu Mu has never exchanged faith points for fishing opportunities, because 100 faith points can be exchanged for one fishing opportunity. He couldn't bear to spend that much. To know, faith is worth this stuff. If accumulated, it can be exchanged for different levels of card pools. Yes, the card pool needs to be opened by spending faith points. Is there any more cunning system operation than this? I don't just draw cards and ask for money. Open a card pool. It still costs a lot of money. One thing is that it is completely inherited from the one Chu Mu played before time travel. It is said to be a card drawing game jointly produced by several leading players in the West. There are copyrights for every fantasy world. All become different card pools. And in every card pool, there is something all-encompassing. The things that can be fished include items, skills, characters, otherworld passes. It can be said that there is nothing you can't catch. Value aspect. What you fish out depends entirely on your character. You may fish for a used sanitary napkin, or you may fish for the door to eternal life. The only restriction is that if you fish in a card pool you can only fish what is in that card pool. This setting is the setting of the game Chu Mu played before traveling through time. But, the game does not have a card pool setting that requires spending money to unlock the card pool in foreign servers. This is entirely because after Penguin Agent the name needs to be paid for the copyright of each fantasy world. This is why if you want to unlock the card pool you have to pay. Chu Mu regretted more than once why she didn't play foreign server games in the first place. If that is the case, he wouldn't have traveled through so many years. There are only 2 free card pools for beginners in the lower world, Detective Conan, and the lower world, Harry Potter, that can draw things. Heaven can teach you. There really isn't much good stuff in the novice card pool. These years, apart from extracting a lot of random things such as the doctor's invention snacks from Diagon Alley, Hermione's diapers, and other things that looked novel but were actually of no use, he only got a few things that made him happy. Fishing results. For example, Kyogoku's real fighting power. This gave Chu Mu strength beyond ordinary people, reaching the physical fitness of Rifle Realm, and he could dodge rifle fire just by relying on his reactions. For example, a wand made of elderwood and thestral tail feathers. Well, that's the elder wand that has been used throughout Harry Potter's history. Only, although Chu Mu has also drawn such good things in the dangerous world of Marvel, he still doesn't have much ability to protect himself. In the ordinary world, Rifle Realm's physical fitness may be called an absolute ceiling level combat power. But, in the Marvel universe, that's just a 50 to 50 level with Captain America. The Elder Wand is quite powerful, but so far Chu Mu has only managed to get a clean spell. The Elder Wand has been cleaned up. I guess it just makes the room cleaner. In conclusion, even though Chu Mu has some extraordinary qualities, but in the face of the real dangers of Marvel he is just a bigger bug. Fortunately, I will soon save 10,000 faith points so I can open a medium-sized card pool world. I should be able to catch a lot of really good things by then. Chu Mu glanced at the system's settlement time. With 6 hours left he will receive more than 1,000 faith points brought to him by the newspaper this month. By the time, medium-level card pool, there must be something that allows him to truly gain the power to protect himself. Chapter 2. This gentleman has a poisonous name. American Comics. Fishing across universes starting as Homelander. 320 seconds. Chapter 2. This gentleman has a poisonous name. Whether it's Detective Conan or Harry Potter, they are all low-level worlds in the system's evaluation. Opening this type of card pool only requires 1,000 faith points. Something inside, most of them may be extraordinary but not completely extraordinary, and 10,000 faith points can open the medium-level card pool. Inside the medium-level card pool, that is, there are things that can truly be considered high-level in the Marvel universe. Truly extraordinary, definitely. To what extent can it be extraordinary? It also depends on which medium card pool is opened. What kind of world a new card pool opens is not something that Chu Mu as the host can decide. It's still the same reason. Penguin's urinary nature leads to the opening of the card pool, which can only be opened randomly. What kind of world is opened depends on luck. This setting of this game in the previous life was criticized by many players. However, this setting helped Penguin earn players an unknown amount of money. After all, some people just want to draw their favorite world card pool. But Penguin didn't give them a designated opportunity to open it, so naturally they had to recharge for an unknown amount of money. It would be now. Games become systems. Chu Mu couldn't specify the pool where he fished, he could only say that he was an evil penguin. Now I only have the strength of Captain America. I am so ordinary and weak. I don't know why I have attracted so much attention from S.H.I.E.L.D. Chu Mu glanced at the secretary beside him without leaving any trace. How to say, he definitely knew the origin of this secretary. Hill Agent, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s director has always been his trusted right-hand man. He can be regarded as a very troublesome character. Definitely, trouble is trouble. Chu had no intention of trying to get rid of this Hill Agent. He used it very easily. To know, the salary required is small but the ability is strong and they are willing to work hard. There are not many tool workers available 24 hours a day. Money is hard to find. Therefore, Chu Mu more than didn't mind. He even felt somewhat grateful to S.H.I.E.L.D. A month ago, S.H.I.E.L.D. gave him such a cheap and excellent labor force for free, but it made his work easier many times. As for the trouble that S.H.I.E.L.D. may cause, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s troubles are those trivial troubles of the company. Chu Mu's head hurts when she thinks about the company's trivial matters. In comparison, just beware of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. That's so relaxing. Moreover, I'm a serious person, the kind who pays my taxes on time every year. The tax bureau can't even give him any trouble. What skills does S.H.I.E.L.D. have? He is a good law-abiding citizen. Hey kid, you're the new boss of the New York Times. Chu Mu right. Suddenly a slightly deep voice said the Huxia pronunciation of kick your feet. Sounded not far from Chu Mu's side. I saw a middle-aged man in an old-school suit walking over with a kind smile on his face. He raised the wine glass in his hand to Chu Mu. Because Chu Mu's mother died in childbirth, his father gave Chu Mu a Huxia name. Although this was strongly opposed by my grandfather, in the end I couldn't overcome my father's insistence. This is a good thing for Chu Mu, who still uses the name of the previous life. Well, this is indeed a very difficult to explain coincidence. Mr. Jameson, as a second-generation rich man in New York, Chu Mu is now one of the upper-class people in New York. He still has basic skills and can pronounce the name of the person who comes. This person is a peer, owner of the Daily Bugle. The Daily Bugle is the newspaper that always has trouble with Spider-Man. Jonah Jameson is the guy who criticized Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Home. Definitely, he had a sharp face when facing Spider-Man, but at this banquet Jonah Jameson didn't have any sharp feeling at all. Are you old enough to drink? I don't want to be arrested and jailed for several days just because I drank with you. Even though he said so. But Jonah Jameson still clinked his glasses with Chu Mu. The humor of middle-aged men. Young people probably don't understand it very well. I don't think that's going to happen. Chu Mu smiled politely. He was indeed not old enough to drink. But according to the law, what did it mean to people like them? It's not a big crime. No one would accuse the boss of the New York Times for drinking under the age of 21. Your grandfather and I used to be very good friends, but I never thought something like that would happen to him. Jonah Jameson finished with a slight sigh. He put on a happy expression again. But to be honest, if your grandfather knew that you managed his newspaper even better than before, he would be very pleased. This gesture of greeting, just take a look, the so-called good friends, how valuable they are is worth considering. Although the size of his newspaper cannot be compared with that of the New York Times, it is not small either. There is actually a competitive relationship between the two. No, after the seemingly concerned greetings, the old fox of the Daily Bugle showed his fox tail. Speaking of the newspaper's achievements, the New York Times has always been able to get valuable information on some major events in New York as soon as possible. There must be some secret to this, right? Jonah Jameson began to criticize recent news sources in the New York Times. You can find out if you pay attention to the newspapers. The New York Times' sales are constantly rising these days, and it can always publish huge amounts of core reports on major events that happen in New York as soon as possible. Some reports, it's like being there, reported the details and some information that should have been kept confidential by the FBI. True, the New York Times does not only operate in the United States. But, compared with how many poor people there are in Syria and how many soldiers died in Afghanistan, what everyone likes to see more is what is happening around them. Jonah Jameson has seen the New York Times getting better and better lately. He was racking his brains. Didn't even think of the New York Times source. Therefore, taking this opportunity, he planned to trick this young boss. Young people, hold a handful. It floated naturally. This was Jonah Jameson's thought before he came. However, as long as your reporters are good enough, they will naturally be able to get more precious and detailed information. Chu Mu just smiled lightly. There was no intention of showing off at all. You're right, only with good reporters can we make more money. Jonah Jameson was a little angry, but he still had to laugh with fake humor. He has been working as a newspaper publisher for so many years and definitely knows the importance of journalists. The problem is that he has not been able to find out which reporter in Chu Mu's newspaper is so good in the past few days, which means that he can't even recruit people even if he wants to. If I have to tell you one secret, it would be to cultivate more excellent journalists. Chu Mu seemed to have given Jonah Jameson a piece of advice. But, in Jonah Jameson's opinion, these words are no different from bullshit. Are excellent journalists so easy to cultivate? Even good journalists. Whether there is breaking news depends on the quality of the news channels. Jonah Jameson also wanted to continue the conversation to find out which reporter under Chu Mu was so effective. However, Chu Mu did not give him this chance. Sorry, I have some things to take care of. Chu Mu leaned slightly. Then, just leave this area. This caused Jonah Jameson's expression to change. I must dig up this person. He looked at Chu Mu's back aggressively, not thinking that a child could defeat him. He was confident of poaching Chu Mu's outstanding talent. As for who that outstanding talent is, Jonah Jameson is going to go back and spend a lot of money to check. He actually already has some information about the other party. Although as for a name for a media boss, a name is enough information to find a person. But, it definitely takes time. 91 Mr. Chin. Jonah Jameson thought about the information he had obtained from a friend a few days ago, and now he just wanted to find this reporter with the pseudonym, Mr. 91 Chin. Temptation. No one can escape the lure of money. At his discretion, this should be a young reporter who has just graduated, has extraordinary talents, and is very lucky. It is too easy to bribe such a person. Jonah Jameson is confident about this. Chapter 3. Lots of talents under his command. American Comics. Fishing across universes starting as Homelander. 320 seconds. Chapter 3. Lots of talents under his command. You still want to talk to me? You're naive. Chu Mu actually didn't have anything to deal with. Getting rid of Jonah Jameson, a petty colleague. He saw a familiar figure. Ever since, he stopped and looked over. I saw, not far away, a handsome man with his arms around two beauties was leaning against the dining table, bragging about his strength to the beauties he was holding. What he was bragging about was his prowess in bed. That rhetoric. Those who listen will blush in their heartbeats. Being able to talk about these things in such a public place, no one around him dared to get angry, and even everyone showed a flattering look. There is probably only one person with such influence in all of New York. Yes, this playboy is the famous Tony Stark. The real troubled times are about to begin. Chu Mu felt a bit of urgency. Anyone who knows Marvel knows this. When Tony Stark became Iron Man, this indicates that the Marvel world has entered a chaotic beginning. At that point, danger will truly be everywhere in Marvel. Can you escape Thanos' snap of his fingers? Can you escape the opening of multi-universe? The beginning and end of Iron Man. Predicting Marvel's path to chaos and more chaos. Now, it's almost time for Tony Stark to go to Afghanistan, which also means there is not much time left for Chu Mu to grow up. What? Why does Chu Mu know time so clearly and know when Tony will go to Afghanistan? Isn't this the professional level a media person should have? As a newspaper owner, Chu Mu published the news that Tony was about to go to Afghanistan just yesterday. To know, I want the newspaper to sell well. There is no shortage of news about Stark. In the newspaper office, there is a team dedicated to collecting Stark news. This is a situation that has existed since Grandpa Chu Mu was still alive. After Chu Mu took office, the team dedicated to studying Stark was not eliminated. There is no other reason. Stark news really sells. Boss, do you want to contact Mr. Stark? The beautiful agent came over again and curiously asked Chu Mu in a secretary's manner and tone. She didn't wonder why Chu Mu kept staring at Tony Stark. To know, any upper-class person in New York, there's no one who doesn't want to be associated with Stark Industries. Moreover, as a media person, it is reasonable for Chu Mu to want to get to know Tony Stark. Why should I contact him? I don't want to join his activities tonight. Chu Mu shook his head and took out a camera from his trouser pocket. After he took several pictures in succession of Tony, who was kissing two beauties. Immediately, he turned around and walked towards the hotel door. Okay, you can go back. Just leave when you say leave. Chu Mu came to this banquet just to take a few photos of Tony Stark's wild and unruly photos. As I said just now, Tony's sexy news is really hot selling. And like this close-up pornographic photos, Chu Mu thinks that after Tony gets married, the price should be higher. Well, Mr. Stark should not mind paying a high price to recycle this dark history. The soul of media people, burning in Chu Mu's bones. Definitely, even if Stark doesn't buy it back, Chu Mu thinks it would be great to keep it for collection and later sell it to places like the Iron Man Memorial Hall. Such gossip in my heart. But, Chu Mu still maintains his image as a serious person on the surface. Wait for me. Although Hill agent didn't understand why Chu Mu suddenly wanted to go back. But she quickly followed him. Don't you need me to send you off? Hill and Chu Mu appeared in front of the hotel door. She looked at Chu Mu, who took a breath of fresh air and took the initiative to send her boss home. However, need not. But Chu Mu rejected the beauty's kindness. Just kidding, let an agent take him home. God knows how many monitoring devices will be installed in the home. Then, I'll report it back to the club first. Tool man, I still need to work overtime at night. Chu Mu watched the beautiful agent leave with relief and then found his Rolls Royce. The driver smoked a cigar. I have been waiting in the car for a long time. Boss. The driver, who had a Russian face and a burly build, took the initiative to greet Chu Mu. He had a strong aura of a gang member. Vodka, how many times have I told you not to smoke your cigar in my car? Chu Mu frowned slightly and scolded the driver. The driver, who was much burlier than Chu Mu, shrank his head and said, "Okay boss, I was just a little sleepy so I couldn't hold it in." He apologized profusely. Subsequently, he watched Chu Mu get into the car. Then he watched Chu Mu take out a cigar and light it. The driver named Vodka opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything to apologize for his injustice. He has said this many times, but every time the boss will scold him fiercely, telling him that durian-flavored cigars can be compared with real cigars. Why? I just have a unique taste for vodka. What's wrong with durian-flavored cigars? Why are they so unpopular? The honest Vodka started the car silently and used his many years of excellent car skills to smoothly drive Chu Mu towards the wealthy residential area. Yes, this driver named Vodka is also the result of Chu Mu's years of fishing. The Men in Black organization from the world of detectives. Every real member of this organization is ruthless. But Chu Mu doesn't have to worry about being betrayed by the fished-out characters, because every character who is mobilized will be stamped with the highest level of ideological stamp by the system. While maintaining his own character, he remains absolutely loyal to Chu Mu. Boss, the goods are almost sold out. Sky is urging us to restock. Vodka reported the situation to Chu Mu while driving. House of Everything. It's a new side business that Chu Mu has developed over the past few years. It's not the kind that charges money to do things, but sells some novel items he caught while fishing. Chu Mu is not a hamster. I don't have the habit of hoarding those messy things. Therefore, for some things that are not used or are repeated in large quantities, he will take them to Wanshiwu to sell them. It's called the House of Everything. In fact, it is more like a magical grocery store, definitely not visible to the public, because among the customers there is a large unit like S.H.I.E.L.D. Chu Mu is not worried about anything that violates business operations. He thinks that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent appears around him probably for this reason. How to say, although S.H.I.E.L.D. can also be called Snake and S.H.I.E.L.D., the Hydra hidden in S.H.I.E.L.D. is not as dangerous as most people think. It's similar to the situation where some bandits turned around and became landlords. As long as there is no huge benefit, the bandits who have become landlords will still follow the rules. Definitely this premise is that the interests do not reach the level that the other party wants to rob. The things Chu Mu sells are some magical snacks, watch-type anesthesia guns, voice changers and other gadgets. It's said to be magical, but that's really all it is. Things that can be bought by placing an order normally will not attract any big covetousness. After all, it's not like Hydra's money was spent by Snake S.H.I.E.L.D. I'll go restock in 2 days. Chu Mu nodded. He remembered the girl he hired when he was 15 years old. Sky, her real name should actually be Daisy Johnson. He is a super ability person with the power of vibe. Definitely. The current Sky does not have the awakening ability yet. She is just a little girl with good hacking skills who was hired by Chu Mu to be in charge of the Everything House. The reason why Sky agreed to hire her back then was that she didn't want to continue wandering, and secondly she probably wanted to find out about her parents' life experience through Chu Mu's connections. These years, Chu Mu was also quite concerned about where Sky's parents were, but again he is just a rich second generation with some ability. The real world, it's not yet time for him to touch. Although he knows who Sky's parents are, Chu Mu doesn't know where the two people are. To be honest, he doesn't really want Sky to find his parents. Those two people, not a kind father or mother. Definitely, Sky wanted to find. As a boss, Chu Mu was still keeping an eye on Sky. Ding ding ding. Looking out the window at the busy traffic, the phone suddenly rang. 91 Mr. Chin. Chu Mu took out her mobile phone and answered the call. Opposite, it was a cold male voice. The materials have been sent to your mobile phone. Jin always spoke like this, respectful and at the same time upholding his usual vigorous and resolute style. Yes, there is Vodka. How could there be no Jin? The original Chu Mu drew a car. There were only 3 people sitting in the car, among whom Vodka became his driver and the company's attorney. Jin became Chu Mu's foreign correspondent. As for the other person, Belma, the ever-changing, which was sent to Hollywood by Chu Mu to start her own job. These days all the tidbits in Hollywood rely on Belmo to provide solid evidence. This is a foreign reporter who has done a very good job in Hollywood. Not only can you get all kinds of explosive entertainment news, in 2 or 3 years he himself became one of the top stars in Hollywood. Definitely, behind this is also the reason why Chu Mu invested a lot of money allowing Belmo to make various hit movies. Many movies copied from Earth have also achieved great results in this world. Tomb Raider, Resident Evil are all Belmo's masterpieces. Well, the criminal materials of these chicken feet gang are very solid. I think it will be the headline news tomorrow. Chu Mu read the materials sent by Ginju. Very satisfied. He then sent the news to his secretary Hill agent. Poor agent sister, it will definitely be another sleepless night tonight. Next month, I need an explosion in which a gangster's hometown is blown up into the sky. It's best to have some real-life first-person shots. In order to gain more faith points next month, Chu Mu gave further instructions to Ginju and Ginju agreed without asking why. I don't know which gangster will be unlucky enough to be chosen by Jin. Create an explosion. He has always been professional. Yes, the sales of the New York Times have been soaring and the full amount of news and information is attributed to this model employee. Wherever there is a case that happens to happen where there are informants all over the various gangs, only the false media people hope that God will provide them with food. A true media person, that means there is no news, you have to create the news yourself. Chu Mu didn't feel any psychological pressure at all from blowing up those notorious gangsters. Jin, not to mention Vodka. He has been in this business before. Even when he asked Jin to blow up the Statue of Liberty, he would never be vague. In addition to his absolute loyalty to Chu Mu, these extracted the characters have the same personality as always. I hope that after Iron Man appears I can bear the pain of fishing with faith points and obtain some powerful abilities as soon as possible. Chu Mu glanced at his valuable watch. It's been less than an hour since the system's new round of faith arrived. He was looking forward to it. My first mid-level card pool, what kind of world will it be? Chapter 4 New Card Pool. Extraordinary World, American Comics. Fishing across universes starting as Homelander. For 320 seconds. Chapter 4 New Card Pool. Extraordinary World. When Chu Mu returned home, she checked the situation at home as usual. A total of 6 listening devices were found from various corners. After smashing all the monitoring equipment and throwing it into the trash can outside, Chu Mu returned to his villa as usual. Ever since he was targeted by S.H.I.E.L.D., these things have appeared in Chu Mu's house every day. He has now developed the habit of cleaning up the first thing he does when he comes home every day. How to say, talking about eavesdropping, surveillance, etc. S.H.I.E.L.D. is indeed professional in the face of almighty vodka and seasoned gin. It's still not enough. After all, in K. Shui's world being targeted by so many organizations, they have experience in this area that no one can match. Under the guidance of 2 people, Chu Mu has also become extremely professional. Report. The target has once again dismantled all our equipment. In the villa next to Chu Mu's house, a team of black agents in suits reported the news. Didn't I tell you to hide as concealed as possible? Why were you found again? On the other end of the communication, the man with the high hairline sounded helpless. He is Phil Coulson, one of the novice village chiefs that countless travelers in the Marvel Universe will encounter. Unexpectedly, this agent was also sent to monitor Chu Mu. We have tried to hide it as much as possible, but still. The agent in charge of communication was a little aggrieved and very tired. They had racked their brains to find ways to hide the equipment. But the other party, hey, are we the agent or are you the agent? Also, if you find such a monitoring device in your home, shouldn't you call the police immediately? But why is this surveillance target still so calm after so many days? Is this a reaction that a normal person can have? Those colleagues disguised as police officers have already prepared the feed. Can they be allowed to go to work? Keep the status quo and don't expose it. When the director comes back, I will request new instructions. In fact, Phil Coulson also felt very depressed about this. And I am also extremely curious about Chu Mu, whose reaction is obviously abnormal. With his current agent authority, he is not qualified to view Chu Mu's files. This is obviously an incredible thing. Except for the magical house of everything. Could it be that this young man has any great secrets about him? Phil Coulson looked at the photo of Chu Mu that was transferred to his mobile phone. It was all secretly taken by Hill agent at the banquet tonight. I still didn't feel anything special. In other words, he is so much handsomer than normal people. Night has fallen. In a seemingly peaceful city, there are countless crimes that have happened quietly. New York can be said to be the capital of crime that resounds all over the world, in any world. New York in the Marvel world is even more dangerous. If it weren't for a Goldfinger who needed fame, Chu Mu would have sold the newspaper he inherited from his grandfather and then returned to Daxia with the money. Nowhere is it safe to hide in the Marvel world. But at least until Thanos comes, Daxia's security is still the highest in the world. Not only do you not have to worry about those messy reformers, you don't even have to worry about being shot by someone with a gun in stockings while walking on the street. Unfortunately, this Goldfinger needs fame and people's attention. In order to develop, I can only stay in the center of this whirlpool. Even for this, I have to endure the intrusion of a group of agents. It's difficult, it's too difficult. The world is not worth it. Chu Mu, after dealing with the listening device, seeing that the clock at home was slowly approaching 12 o'clock in the morning, he first did his daily internet browsing. Immediately, after the clock reached 12 o'clock in the morning, his cloud suppression phenomenon was immediately cured and he couldn't wait to turn on his Goldfinger. Host. Chu Mu. Number of free tickets today, 1. Faith. 10,540. Own card pool. Detective Conan World, Harry Potter World. The data in the column of faith value. Changes have occurred quietly without giving Chu Mu the slightest system prompt. This is the Penguin system where Chu Mu has no feelings. Definitely. Although there was no emotion, the faith points that were due arrived on time with a full 1123 points of faith points arriving. A lot more than the average monthly average of 1000 points. It is all thanks to Mr. Chin from 91 who worked overtime this month and created a lot of hot news. Chu Mu is very pleased that all his employees are talented people. And he works very hard, including working overtime without any complaints. If the employees continue to work hard like this, his life will definitely get better and better. Not only is the faith value calculated once a month received, but even the daily free fishing times are refreshed on time at 12 o'clock. Only, today's free fishing times, Chu Mu does not intend to use it in the world of Harry Potter, nor does it intend to use it in the world of Detective Conan. He wanted to see what kind of gains he could get from the new card pool. Definitely you still need to make some preparations before starting to draw the world card pool. First, it's about closing the doors and windows. Then, just shower and change clothes, wash your hands several times. It wasn't until Chu Mu felt like a queen of Europe that the preliminary preparations were completed. Metaphysics, you still have to believe it when you should believe it. There is no harm in it anyway. What if you become the European emperor because of this? God bless you. Please bless me and I will open a better pool. Chu Mu actually wanted to worship Jesus Bodhisattva Buddha Sancheng or something at first. But then I thought about it. These gods don't seem to be very powerful in Marvel. The real talk is whether it's awesome or not. He might as well worship Ma Hua Pain. Definitely thinking so, Chu Mu actually didn't choose to worship the old horse in the end. After all, he also knows that Lao Ma is the same as Buddha, he will never survive poverty. Chu Mu does have a lot of Franklins, but he is quite poor in terms of faith value. So, Chu Mu thought over and over again and finally chose to worship the great god who is herself in the mirror. Some people may not understand what kind of brain circuit this is. In fact, as long as you think about it for a moment, why would you rather seek God than yourself? What it means is that it is better to pray for other gods than to pray for your future self. Chu Mu thought, if you become more powerful in the future, then it is obviously more reliable to protect your past self than to ask other messy gods. Therefore, he solemnly bowed to himself. Chu Mu then started the card pool draw and saw that 10,000 faith points were deducted from Chu Mu's system panel. One by one, completely different but exciting worlds began to flash before Chu Mu's eyes, just like watching a movie while wearing a VR device. There is the Middle-earth world where gray-robed magicians are constantly resurrected from the dead. There is the vast universe where the Force and technology coexist, and there is also the modern city where the world-destroying dragon is willing to stay in a small place and work as a maid. Countless worlds flashed before Chu Mu's eyes. At last, as the frequency of the flashes became slower and slower, it was like a lottery draw on a roulette wheel, and finally it settled on a world full of gloom. Countless people in strange clothes were walking on the earth. They were running for their lives as if they were afraid of something. But above these people there was a man with stars and stripes in the sky. The Stars and Stripes Man. He is Crescent Moon Celestial. Chapter 5, Black Robe. The first draw will be a miracle. American Comics. Fishing across universes, starting as Homelander. 320 seconds. Chapter 5, Black Robe. The first draw will be a miracle. Oh no. It's actually this card pool. Chu Mu was slightly confused. Come to your senses. His expression was indescribably weird. How should I put it? Although the extraordinary level of this world is not bad, far beyond the world of K Shui and the world where Tom is back. It can be said that it even far exceeded Chu Mu's expectations. However, in Chu Mu's previous ideas he never considered that such a world would appear. The world of Black Robe Pickets has been loaded. As the system has no voice and only textual information appears in front of the eyes, yes, the card pool that Chu Mu drew is the world card pool of the Black Robe Pickets. This is a world that was very popular before Chu Mu traveled through it. Unexpectedly, it also appeared in the system card pool of this Penguin series. After all, before Chu Mu crossed over, the game I am addicted to has not yet included the copyright of this world, and the Chu Mu system is closely related to that game. I don't know if the system has a wider world card pool than that game. That game received a new update after Chu Mu's time travel. The ability of the Black Robe world fits well with the Marvel Universe. After Chu Mu got over the initial surprise, she quickly accepted this new card pool. In his mind, he recalled his knowledge of the world of Black Robes. Compared to the Marvel Universe, which is full of dangers, the Black Robe world has a darker tone. But it's still safer than the Marvel Universe. Just stay far away. There will be no supernatural threats that can threaten you across the globe. Definitely it would be troublesome if we lived in New York, a world of black robes. Even to some extent life will become worse. After all, the world of Black Robes is a hypocritical, ugly and dangerous world. The superheroes in that world are completely different from the superheroes in the Marvel Universe. The superheroes in that world were more like carefully packaged merchandise, launched by a company called What. They are used to attract fans and harvest leaks. All of them look sanctimonious but are actually corrupt and hypocritical. Fighting crime is actually a show. Everything is based on money and fame, creating huge wealth for the Vought company behind the scenes. Sometimes, no crime occurred. Vought would also go out of its way to create a crime themselves and then let its own superheroes go out to create news. Just like Chu Mu's behavior. It's just that Chu Mu will only focus on those gangsters who deserve their crimes, but the Walter company in the Black Robe doesn't care about the rights and wrongs. So I'm more conscientious. Chu Mu praised herself silently. Keep reminiscing. The Vought company should be the main thread running through the entire Black Robe. It created the magical compound number 5 and single-handedly shaped many superheroes. Definitely the superhero here needs to be put in quotation marks. There is a saying, the so-called superhero in the Black Robe is more like an ordinary person suddenly gaining powerful power. No, it may also be worse than ordinary people. I don't know if it is compound number 5, a substance that can give humans super abilities and has the side effect of amplifying the dark side of human hearts. Basically all the superheroes in the Black Robe world are perverts. Each one has unique quirks and brain circuits that are difficult for ordinary people to understand. In their eyes, human life is nothing. It's something that can be measured in money. In addition, the powerful Vought Corporation was helping them wipe their butts behind the scenes, which made these people even more arrogant. They accidentally injured a large area without paying attention. And if ordinary people are accidentally injured, that means there is no place to redress grievances. If you don't pay attention to the dog leash, you can only blame yourself for bad luck. I can only say that the world is indeed dark enough, and the superheroes are also perverted. The most powerful among them, Homelander, is a true pervert among perverts. Homelander, the most powerful superhero in the world of Black Robes, has the ability similar to Superman and is powerful enough to destroy the entire world of Black Robes. However, He is such a man who looks like a macho man but is actually a giant baby bomb with a psychological abnormality, moodiness and wanton behavior. Ordinary people living in such a world, that would be really difficult. Fortunately I just drew the card pool instead of traveling to that world. Chu Mu roughly recalled the information about the Black Robe world. One thing to say, although the world of Black Robes does not have many magical items, the abilities of each superhero in it are quite suitable for the Marvel universe in which they live. And, although the upper limit of power in the Black Robe world is far lower than that of Marvel, the abilities of characters like Homelander and Soldier Boy were still very buggy in the early stages of the Marvel world. The key is, Chu Mu's gold finger can extract characters. If some super ability characters can be extracted in the future, it will obviously be of greater help to Chu Mu. Starlight, Homelander, Locomotive, Queen Maeve. If these characters could be drawn out, Chu Mu's employees would be even more talented. The ability to create news will also be a bit more powerful. These are all faith values. Nothing happens. Just let your superhero come out and show off. The sales volume of newspapers will continue to increase. Right to know the era that followed. It's the age of heroes in the Marvel universe. People will pay more attention to superheroes than to anything else. Perhaps this is why I came to the world of Black Robes. Because I also know how to use superheroes to gain a lot of benefits for myself. How to put it, in fact, even if Chu Mu creates news, he will definitely not be as black as what company. At least he will not implicate innocent people for the sake of news. Chu Mu still has the basic bottom line. I actually want to see how exciting it will be when Captain America meets Soldier Boy. Chu Mu is slightly looking forward to the future. Definitely, Soldier Boy versus Captain America. That's obviously something to talk about later. And I still don't know if it can be realized. Now he is still in the card pool of the Black Robe world and has never fished once. God knows when he will be able to draw a character. Chu Mu was also a little longing, wondering if he could pull out anything that satisfied him in the Black Robe's card pool. You don't have to worry about drawing things like Homelander's baby bottle or Starlight's Mimi hood. The first fishing in every card pool will yield good things. Kyogoku is really powerful. Death God's Elder Wand. They are all treasures obtained by Chu Mu in the other two low-level card pools, relying on the probability of getting a 5th grade golden card when fishing for the first time. Therefore, from the card pool of Black Robe world, there's a high probability that it will be the first time to withdraw money. The first draw will produce a miracle. Watch me hit the target. Chu Mu looked at his free opportunity today and immediately started fishing. A pond and fishing rod that only he could see appeared in his field of vision. I saw. Chu Mu used a fishing rod hanging with a white light ball and threw it into the black hole in front of him that only he could see. Everything in the Black Robe world rises and falls in the black hole. Time passes slowly. Wow, the hook moved. Chu Mu pulled the fishing rod. Golden light bloomed in the horizon that only he could see. Really, the first draw from the card pool will result in gold. What are the golden items that exist in a medium-sized world like the Black Robe world? Chapter 6, Homelander. No, I am from my ancestors, please vote. American Comics. Fishing across universes, starting as Homelander. 320 seconds. Chapter 6, Homelander. No, I am from my ancestors, please vote. When Chu Mu removed the golden ball of light from the fishing rod. I saw. Get the ball of light. It turned into a brilliant golden card. Character card. Chu Mu was slightly dazed. He knew very well what the system could fish out and naturally he recognized what he had extracted immediately. It's actually a character card. This is an extremely rare thing. Its rarity is even lower than the probability of drawing a character directly. It is a magical item that can greatly improve Chu Mu as long as it is equipped on the body, allowing Chu Mu to gain all the abilities of the card character. Chu Mu has only drawn one in these years. The Yontai character card, from the world of Detective Conan, has no special use and it cannot even bring much power to Chu Mu. The only advantage is that when Chu Mu equips this card he doesn't have to worry about filling his stomach when eating something delicious. How to say, it's tasteless, but not completely tasteless. If the character card is equipped without consuming faith points, then it is still somewhat useful, but equipping the character card requires consuming faith points. Yes, that's right, settings for character cards, still inherited from the game Chu Mu played before time travel. The setting that, fill money points, will continue to be consumed after equipping the character card is also unreasonable. Beautiful said its name. This is for the sake of the players to prevent someone from being lucky enough to draw a powerful card and losing a lot of the fun of the game. In fact, it just sets another fill money option. Have to say, only you can't think of it. No penguin can do it. Cards like Yontai character card consume 1 point of faith points every hour. Not much though, but just to eat a little more is a bit of a luxury. These years, Chu Mu has only used it 7 or 8 times, only 10 times. No way, the rich can always find some delicious food. I don't know how much consumption this character card will have. Chu Mu was a little nervous. He turned over the card and saw the 3D drawing of the character printed on the card. He was a strong man wearing blue tights with the stars and stripes behind him, blonde hair slightly raising his head and a somewhat arrogant smile. That's right, this card does exactly that. Homelander. Hiss. He actually hit the ceiling immediately after his first start. Or is it a ceiling character card that can add ability to yourself? Chu Mu all of a sudden. I just feel like I washed my hands, took a shower and thanked myself, it was not in vain. This is the ceiling level power of the Black Robe world. Although Homelander's glamorous appearance hides a filthy heart and a soul that's so perverted that it's terrifying. But he is Homelander. Although Homelander has an extremely Oedipal plot and excessive ego and a giant personality, he has done countless crazy things in private by relying on his own strength. For example, under the moon on the high building, the unscrupulous Crescent Moon opposition conduit has perverted hobbies that ordinary people can't understand at all. But he is Homelander. After watching The Black Robe, many people said that if they had Homelander's power they would definitely be more perverted than Homelander and directly transform into their ancestors. It is not difficult to see from this point. Homelander's power is so exaggerated. His strength, it is unscrupulous confidence, even if it is placed in the Marvel world. That's the level at which one can dominate the world and do whatever they want. I guess even Thor would be outdone by Homelander in terms of physical fitness. To know, Homelander is known as a low-end version of Superman. It was originally a character created to imitate Superman and possesses various extraordinary skills of Superman. Even if it's just a copycat low-end version of Superman. But that's not something that everyone can laugh at. The low-end version of Superman is also Superman. Who is Superman? God among men. A powerful existence that crushes everything in the DC universe. A low-end version of Superman, that's Superman too. Isn't the lowly human god no longer a god? It's still terrifyingly powerful, okay. Many people have overlooked that Homelander's setting has the experience of withstanding a 1.6 million ton nuclear explosion and remaining intact. Some may scoff at Homelander's inability to lift a plane. However, can't he lift it? That's because he has no biomagnetic field and the carrying surface of his hands is too small. If he tries to lift the plane it will only break it. It's not because he doesn't have that kind of power. No matter what others say, since the character card I drew was that of Homelander, Homelander is definitely the best. Chu Mu raised the character card in his hand with a sincere expression that only he could see and touch. My heart calmed down for a long time. He suppressed the urge to equip the card immediately and experience the fun of his ancestors. Chu Mu did not forget that the person living in the villa next door was also an agent. Yes, Chu Mu also knows the identity of the agent in the villa next door to her home. Not that he went out of his way to explore it, mainly because he met the resident next door by chance several times when he went out, although the other person's clothes and expression did not reveal anything unusual. But 4 or 5 big men share a villa. In Chu Mu's opinion it was still a very obvious flaw. How could there be only one villa if there were so many people in the family? These people don't look like the internet celebrities who rent villas to take photos. Therefore, if these are excluded, what's left is the agent monitoring him. I have to find a way to get rid of them and experience the feeling of my ancestors. Chu Mu just did it, packed up and drove out in his Bugatti. The target is out. The target is out. The field team will follow. The monitoring agent discovers it immediately. Subsequently, the back of Chu Mu's Bugatti. Several black Audis followed him. Going out in the middle of the night obviously attracted the unusual attention of these agents. But, faced with the following agents who were difficult to detect due to their careful distance, Chu Mu just glanced in the rearview mirror and did not take these agents to heart. It's time to show real technology. Chu Mu started to speed up. Prepare to get rid of these agents. The roaring sports car engine attracted the attention of many men and women at night, and they only saw the roaring Bugatti speeding past them. Wow, it's a Bugatti, a multi-million-dollar sports car. There seems to be a handsome guy inside, rich and handsome. I really want a boyfriend like this. No, I just want to sleep with such a man. Damn rich second generation. They don't sleep at night and come out to blow up the streets. Sooner or later there will be a car accident and kill you. New York is a city that never sleeps. New York at night, there are still many people on the street. So, these passers-by were surprised to see a performance of speed and passion. Chu Mu pushed the accelerator to the bottom, but the modified Audi behind was still chasing after him. Haha, that's interesting. Chu Mu didn't find it difficult. I saw. He took a deep breath and then he let out a heartbreaking roar. The car he was driving was still accelerating violently when cornering. Accelerate through several corners in a row. The taillights of the Bugatti can no longer be seen in the following Audi cars. Although these agents are also very good at driving. But things like accelerating around corners. Although the agent's salary is high and the job is stable, they don't want this stability to turn into stability at the grave. How did he do that? You're going to die. Are you stepping on the accelerator too hard when cornering? This skill is better than that of a professional racing driver. What kind of newspaper owner would you be if you have this skill? Why don't you go to the professional arena and make a name for yourself? The agents who had lost track were collectively dumbfounded. No way. He could only stop the car, pat the steering wheel in annoyance, pick up the communicator and start reporting. The target could drive better than the car god. Get it right. Chu Mu saw that there was no agent vehicle following him. Smiling softly, it's not that he was racing at the risk of his life, but that he originally had such skills and was able to do it with ease. How could that white-haired witch's driving skills from the world of Kekshue be just a lie? Yes, in the world of Detective Conan, Chu Mu had picked up the driving skills of Officer Sato, who left the legend of the white-haired witch car goddess on a certain mountain. K is learning driving skills. What are brakes? Chapter 7, The World is at My Feet. Asking for evaluation votes. American Comics. Fishing across universes, starting as Homelander. 320 seconds. Chapter 7, The World is at My Feet. Asking for evaluation votes. Chu Mu has many twists and turns in the city. After going around many places where no surveillance equipment could take pictures, the sports car was driven to the outskirts of the country to a deserted place. In such a quiet place, it is the most suitable place for him to experiment with Homelander cards without having to worry about being caught by others or being photographed by surveillance cameras. Unless S.H.I.E.L.D. is full and has nothing to do and is willing to use its satellite resources to spy on me, but I obviously will not receive the same level of attention from S.H.I.E.L.D. After Chu Mu got off the sports car, he leaned down and closed the scissor door. Then he raised his hand directly and the golden Homelander card appeared in his hand. He pinched the card with 2 fingers and exerted force only to see that the golden card in his hand suddenly shattered. It turned into little bits of golden light and blended into Chu Mu's body. Next moment, Chu Mu just felt something unusual. Endless power seemed to pour into his body in an instant. Plop, plop, plop. The heart beat like never before and it fell into Chu Mu's ears very clearly. Every beat of his heart was extremely powerful. The heart seemed to metamorphose into a more powerful organ, constantly contracting in Chu Mu's chest, transporting streams of blood to all parts of Chu Mu's body. His hands, body, legs and even his brain all became completely different. His cells were trembling and Chu Mu almost moaned with joy. Regardless of how slow this change seems to be, this is just because Chu Mu's perception has become extremely subtle. He can perceive all changes in his body no matter how small. In fact, the moment he crushed the card, he already has the power of Homelander attached to him. Infinite power emerged from Chu Mu's body. Reach out. It's like a gentle grip, can crush everything. It seems Homelander is really not to blame. Chu Mu felt this intoxicating feeling inside from the bottom of his heart. Anyone with such a powerful power would be intoxicated. No, although character cards do not affect the wearer's personality. But Chu Mu has such godlike power. It still made him feel that the world is big and no one can stop my special mood. Hula. Chu Mu's knees were slightly bent and the gravel on the ground around him began to beat and some even floated slowly as if swept by air waves. As Chu Mu's feet suddenly exerted force, abundant power surged out of his body. The earth cracked and he shot up into the sky like a cannonball. In situ, around the shattered ground, only a circle of air waves formed by sonic booms were left. This is the true transcendence. Chu Mu flight is so high in the sky that even fast cameras can't capture it. It exceeds the speed of sound and surpasses all so-called super fighters today. Alarm, alarm, not just SHIELD's headquarters. FBI, Air Force of the Great Free State. The surveillance systems of these national agencies also sounded alarms at the same time. In New York, the capital's sky naturally has a strict air defense system. What is this? Damn, how can something fly so fast? The FBI personnel all changed their colors. Departments that were relatively idle suddenly became busy. Oh my god, it's 10 times faster than the speed of sound. It's still accelerating. Damn, this must be the latest flight machine developed by the Russians. We have to get the Department of Defense to allocate another amount of money to us. Look, at this speed, our Air Force has absolutely no ability to resist. This is the rotten Great Free State Air Force. Shock is shock, shocked and shocked. The reason why they want funds cannot be forgotten. Among the many organizations that have monitored anomalies, S.H.I.E.L.D. is probably the closest to the truth. What? A flight man appeared above New York. He is traveling through the sky at a flight speed of 10 times the speed of sound. Black Braised Eggs just returned to headquarters. Then he received news that was difficult for him to accept. What a national joke. How can the human body withstand such a speed? Captain America's body may not even be able to withstand it. Nick Fury rushed to the monitoring equipment. He saw a human-shaped object displayed by thermal imaging, flying at high speed over New York. In an instant the black man's face turned a little white. How can it be? Nick Fury only felt a headache. The green monster's matter has not been resolved yet. Why has such an exaggerated flight person appeared again? This speed is simply more troublesome than that green-skinned monster. What's going on in this world? Nick Fury only feels that the world is changing more and more out of control. The mood is extremely heavy. How to say, it is definitely impossible for Chu Mu to understand the mood of this S.H.I.E.L.D. leader. Although he now has Homelander's super hearing, but he still couldn't hear the conversation at S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. In fact, Chu Mu didn't pay attention to the noisy sounds in his ears at all. He circled the sky over New York. I was immersed in the thrill of flight, the ultimate dream of mankind being realized. Wow, Chu Mu was hovering at an altitude of 20,000 meters even though the things under his feet were extremely tiny. But he still had a panoramic view of New York. Even those who were having sex in the alleys, he could see them very clearly, but Chu Mu didn't really appreciate this kind of street. It only lasted for 5 minutes. The man only lasted for 5 minutes and then sent the woman back to the bar with a still unsatisfied look on her face. How to say, although Chu Mu could still see through the eaves and what was happening inside the bar by glaring, he did not do that. Not interesting. If you want to see a beautiful woman, he waves. Although it is not as popular as Tony Stark, it is still no problem if you want to play a few supermodels. Look at others. Where is the fun in getting started on your own? The fun of the ancestors, what a joy. Under the moonlight, Chu Mu's figure above the clouds looks a little hazy. Being in such a position, he felt as if he could embrace the whole world. Definitely you can also make the whole world surrender under your own will. From a perspective that only Homelander can probably experience, Chu Mu slightly stretched out his hand as if he wanted to cover the entire earth with his palm. The surging power in the body is noisy. Chu Mu looked at her palms quietly. Everything in the world. At this moment, it seems that everything can only rise and fall in his palm, unable to break away or escape. He is the god of all things. What an intoxicating feeling. Chu Mu wanted to moan in comfort again. Fortunately I held it back. Chapter 8. What is this? Asking for evaluation votes. American Comics. Fishing across universes starting as Homelander. 320 seconds. Chapter 8. What is this? Asking for evaluation votes. It's a pity, I can only have such a powerful power for a short time. Chu Mu sighed slightly. He was not completely lost in this temporary power. Although very intoxicated, but Chu Mu still hasn't forgotten. This is just the Homelander card. Host. Chu Mu. Free times today, 0. Belief. 374. Have card pools. Detective Conan World, Harry Potter World, Black Robe World. Chu Mu opened his personal panel, looked at the column of faith value. He should have had 540 faith points after drawing the card pool, but now after just one experience he only had more than 300 points left. The faith value is decreasing rapidly and it is still decreasing. Chu Mu calculated that the Homelander card consumes 3 points of faith per minute. Doesn't sound like much, but for Chu Mu, who only has more than 1,000 faith points recorded every month, it is already very expensive. His employees worked hard for a month to be able to serve as Homelander for more than 5 hours. It really felt like he couldn't afford it. It seems that I have to think of some way to increase my faith value income. Chu Mu thought that he couldn't rely on hamster-like methods to accumulate faith points. If you want to use this character card unscrupulously, the only way to increase your income from faith points is to find a way. If you can get 1,000 points into your account every day, do you still worry about not being able to afford the Homelander card? It's time to work hard and work hard. Chu Mu looked at the faith value that had dropped by another 3 points and swore secretly in his heart with distress. He finally felt what it was like to be an ancestor. I am the god on earth. The top ancestor. I can do whatever I want. Chu Mu shouted loudly with great momentum and a bit of madness. This is not because he suddenly went crazy and suffered from Chunabu. But I want to see how much my voice can improve my true strength. Do you feel a little confused? Here I have to mention another setting of the system character card. Per card, all have certain card attributes of their own origin. Just like Yuantaka, the card attribute is gluttony. Chu Mu only needs to overeat when using Yuantai character card, and he can keep the ability of Yuantai character card in him forever bit by bit. Definitely, this method, which is similar to playing, to obtain the permanent blessing of the character's power, also has a cooldown. You cannot use a bug to gain all the power on yourself. Just like Yuantaka, same reason. The card attribute of Homelander character card, which Chu Mu just saw, is rampant, which means that he only needs to act rampant after wearing this card. Then the power of Homelander will become constant in him bit by bit. No. As Chu Mu slowly landed and took off the Homelander card he was wearing, he felt that his physical fitness had improved a lot. Probably a full third of Captain America enhanced. Chu Mu waved his fist, feeling the changes in my body. Although it is extremely empty compared to when I wore the card, it is already much stronger than before with the equipment card. This is the effect of the voice just now. The game Chu Mu played before time travel did not have such a setting. Maybe the system couldn't stand the penguin type's eating habits, right? Seeing that he only had 365 faith points left, Chu Mu sighed slightly. He was still too poor. It was also because the employees didn't work hard enough. Chu Mu walked back to the area where his sports car was. However, he found that his sports car was surrounded by 7 or 8 people. They were not agents but young people who looked like they were being arrogant. Gangster. Chu Mu frowned slightly. I secretly thought that I was unlucky. He found that as soon as he walked over, those punk youths who looked like little gangsters spotted him and all looked over. These people have weird looks in their eyes. They don't look like good people. Chu Mu was secretly vigilant. Boy, is this your car? One of the young men with a closed loop asked Chu Mu in a flirtatious tone. His eyes looked at Chu Mu with amusement. Several other young people, including 2 girls, also had frightening looks in their eyes. It's not mine, is it still yours? Chu Mu got a little closer and looked up and down at the few people with unkind expressions that made him feel uncomfortable. With all due respect, you don't look like you can afford my car. Provocation, naked provocation. Chu Mu is also the second generation of rich people in this life. Naturally, there is also an arrogant side. It belongs to the kind of character that if you give me face, I will give you face. If you don't give me face, I will not give you face. Facing these gangsters, he was not afraid at all. After all, he now has a strong trump card. In the past, when Kyogoku was the only one with real strength, he was not afraid of any little gangsters. Even more so now. Even without using the Homelander card, just with his own rifle realm strength, he is not afraid even if these gangsters pull out guns. Just a bunch of gangsters. You can't take out a rocket launcher from your crotch, right? Interesting boy. You are quite brave. I want to see if you have always been this brave. The young man with the nose ring looked at Chu Mu slightly angrily. He walked away from Chu Mu's Bugatti, twisted his neck and slowly walked towards Chu Mu. Several other punk youths around looked like they were watching a show. They just stared at Chu Mu. There was something dark about the eyes. The 2 girls among them even had excited eyes, and they even licked their lips when they stared at Chu Mu's handsome face. It was definitely not interested in Chu Mu's beauty. Instead, it was more like looking at the delicious food, and Chu Mu was slightly stunned. These people, he sensed something was wrong. As expected, next moment, Chu Mu saw the person walking towards him. The pupils in his eyes had turned red and his open mouth showed sharp teeth. Vampire. Werewolf. Chu Mu reacted immediately. In the Marvel world, these monsters do exist. Unexpectedly just out of the suburbs he actually bumped into a nest. It is indeed the dangerous Marvel world. Chu Mu couldn't help but sigh in her heart. After realizing that he was encountering a mythical monster, he did not panic at all. The strength of the rifle realm. Obviously unable to deal with these guys, the card representing Homelander was quietly shattered at Chu Mu's fingertips. Boy, we originally wanted to rob your car and let you go, but we didn't expect you to be so crazy, so I had to send you to confess to God. The young man with sharp teeth suddenly became very fast and his whole body turned into an afterimage appearing directly in front of Chu Mu. Let me see, how crazy you are, how dare you treat us gods like this. The young man's palms pinched Chu Mu as if he wanted to pinch Chu Mu's neck and lifted Chu Mu into the air like a chicken. Then slowly watch Chu Mu die in fear. This is the favorite method of young people when hunting prey. It will make him feel like a god who controls the life and death of others. I think you didn't wash your hands. However, the young man has experienced the plot countless times, but it did not happen. After a calm voice, how is it possible? How can you catch me? The young man with the nose ring looked in disbelief as his hands were held by the boy in front of him. He had an incredible expression on his face. He desperately tried to pull his wrist out of the young man's palm but was a little horrified to find that the other man's palm was like an iron pincer. No matter how hard he tried, they couldn't shake it at all. The red pupils of the young man with the nose ring shrank violently. He was completely unable to understand the situation he was currently encountering. Own strength, but it's enough to lift a big truck. What happened? Lois, several companions not far away noticed something strange about the young man with the nose ring. They slowly approached but were shocked to find that their companion had been grasped. The expressions of several people suddenly changed. They were all shocked out of their vampire form and looked at Chu Mu as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Could this be the same blood clan as himself and others? Were they sent by other families to deal with them? No, impossible. The young man with the nose ring known as Lois wanted to bite Chu Mu's hand with his sharp teeth. However, he bit hard and almost knocked off his own teeth. The other party's hand, how could it be harder than steel? What kind of monster are you? Extremely ironic. The young man with the nose ring has a mouth full of broken teeth. Such a blood-sucking monster actually screamed in horror, saying that the Chu Mu in front of him was more like a monster than himself. He wanted his companions to help him and quickly shouted for help. Several young people wanted to rush over, but the next second they all froze and their instincts felt the terrible oppression from Chu Mu. That's it, the oppression that left them breathless. It looks like you have a little bit of osteoporosis. Sorry, I wasn't careful. Chu Mu pulled back and broke the young man's wrist in front of him. Without waiting for the young man to cry, he reached out and pinched the young man's neck and lifted him up. Extremely easy. There was a crackling sound from the neck of the young man with the nose ring and the sound of his neck bones breaking. Hearing this, his fellow vampires around him felt chills in their hearts. However, Chu Mu remained extremely calm. He smiled, although it was just a gentle smile, but it made the young man with the nose ring feel extremely terrible as his vision gradually blurred, and no matter how hard he struggled, it was to no avail. Are you gods? Chu Mu's eyes suddenly lit up fiercely red. Fierce rays spurted out from it. Before the young man with the nose ring could scream in pain, his eyes had been pierced by the heat ray and turned into scorched black holes. It is true that vampires have powerful self-healing ability, but if the entire inside of their brains is roasted to char, they can only chat with Lucifer. Then what am I? Chu Mu casually threw the body of the young man with the nose ring to the ground, the red light in his eyes still flashing. He looked around at the several frightened blood clan. Chapter 9. I'm not a bad person, please vote. American Comics. Fishing across universes starting as Homelander. 320 seconds. Chapter 9. I'm not a bad person, please vote. Compared with the vampire's monstrous devil shape. At the moment, in the eyes of several vampires who were already stunned with fear, the young man in front of them seemed to be more like a terrifying devil. The flashing red eyes had a biting luster that made them frightened. As vampires, their instincts were frantically warning them, and they felt the terrifying aura on the boy's body, a terrifying oppressive force that could make them tremble. Suffocating. The carelessly thrown away companion's head on the ground was so charred that his appearance was unclear, which deeply stimulated the nerves of vampires like them. The atmosphere in the air was very quiet, even dead. He killed Lois. After a while of silence, a vampire began to tremble all over. Looking at the corpse of his companion on the ground, his eyes were red as if there were bloodstains in them. This vampire was probably the brother of the vampire killed by Chu Mu. The two looked similar, so the sudden death of his brother was obviously something he couldn't accept. It would have been any other time. He would definitely go crazy and tear the human beings in front of him into pieces, but the remaining reason still prevented this vampire from acting rashly. Mainly because the red light in the young man's eyes never went out. He also knew that if he rushed forward rashly, he would probably end up with the same fate as his brother. What just happened so suddenly. Their eyes couldn't even keep up with each other's movements enough to see how fast the young man in front of them was. Sorry, brother, we were just joking with you. I'm sorry, we shouldn't have provoked you. One of the vampires stammered an apology. Chu Mu turned to look at the black vampire. You think I'm easy to deceive? The voice was a little cold. The black vampire subconsciously felt something was wrong. However, before his body could react, his vision was shrouded in red and the dazzling red rays illuminated the entire forest. A dazzling red light appeared on Chu Mu's pupils, and then in a very short time the red light shot out from his eyes. It was like a red death god suddenly cut through the darkness of loneliness. Even if it was just for a moment, the consequences were unbearable by the black vampire. Plop! Another corpse with a charred head fell down. For this species with powerful self-healing ability, Chu